Now, what we're talking about here is how we choose how we're choosing this k over here, and how these centroids were being associated for us, right? How these centroids were being associated for us. Now, one thing that we also need to take note of, right? One thing that we need to take note of is that when we associate these, when we generate these centroids, right? When we generate these centroids, we do this. When we generate these centroids, right? What happens is that we have several iterations, right? Several iterations that we do, right? We don't just do it just one time, and then we associate these points and then we are done, right? We don't do it that way. If you consider this example, let's maybe let's consider this, right? Let's say this is A, this is B, this is C, right? So let's consider A here, right? Let's consider A now. If you see the centroid that we generated over here, if you see this centroid, right? And you see the points that have been associated with the centroid, right? Now, if we consider this, maybe let's consider this yellow point over here, right? If you consider this yellow point over here, maybe I can argue that this yellow point is closer to this than this centroid, right? Because this yellow point has been this point has been colored as yellow, meaning that it's closer to this, right? But intuitively, if you see this yellow point, you can see that this yellow point is closer to this. All right. So what happens is that these points, right? These points, this centroid, right? As you run it the first time, you don't stop there. You do it iteratively, right? You do it iteratively so that the points will keep on adjusting, right? The central points will keep on adjusting until the point where all these different points have been associated with the centroid correctly, where if you run it again, there will be no change. And I mean, the distance between this one will be associated with this because it's closer to that, and then these points will be, for instance, this point, right, is closer to this than closer to that, right? So this point will now be associated with this. So the centroid will be keeping on adjusting itself until the points are correctly associated with the various centroids, right? So this, I mean, doing this is what we refer to as the Llyod, right? We use the Llyod method to do that, right? We use what is called, let me write it here, right? We use what is called the Llyod's method, right? We use what is called the Llyod's, you can call it Llyod's theorem, right? You can call it, this is L and then another L, O, Y, D, apostrophe S, and then theorem, right? We use what is called the Llyod's theorem to do that, right? So let me show you a demonstration of what I mean by this Llyod's theorem, right? And how these iterations are being done, and how these points are being shifted from one position to the other, right? So let me show you a visual demonstration of that. That will actually make things more intuitive, okay? So let's go there and see. Okay, so now if you see what you have on your screen over here, right? Just keep your eye on what you have over on your screen. So we have, this is a demonstration that I'm going to show to you. So we will be, let me get rid of this, right? We'll be having some number of data points, right? And then we'll have some keys that we want to choose, right? Some keys that we want to choose over here. All right, so let me play this so that you can actually get to see what I want you to see over here, right? So now see the points that we have on your screen, right? You see where the original points, just keep your eye on where they are, right? And see how the points have been they are being associated, right? So we are doing iterations, right? So this is iteration 1. Now you see where it is being shifted to, right? You see where the centroids have been shifted to. Okay, now see it again. See how they are going to be shifted. Now you see where it is now being shifted to. Okay, and then the points are being readjusted again, right? You see where this one is now, right? So that is iteration 3. Now iteration 4. You see where it has shifted to again, right? You see where it's being shifted to again, right? Right, that is iteration 4. Right now we are at iteration 5. Now you see that the points are not moving any significantly anymore, right? But you can see that the points are being associated with them. I mean, now we have a clear distinction, right? We have a clear distinction over here, right? We have a clear distinction over here. Okay, let me run it again. Let me run it again so that you actually get to understand it, right? Let me run it again, okay? So now just keep your eye on it, right? Now we have data points, but we don't actually have any association, yes. Now we are associating these centroids, right? We're creating these centroids. So see how they are going to be shifted. That is iteration 1. Keep your eye on the iteration 1, okay? Now we are at iteration 2, right? Now you see how the point was moved from that to this place, right? You see how it has been moved, right? You see how it is shifting again, right? You see how it's shifting, it's just being shifted again, okay? And then the points will now be readjusted. Some blue points will be turned into this light blue, and then some yellow points, right, will also be associated with this. In the same way, right, it's keep on shifting, right? It keeps on shifting like that, right? So at iteration 5, everything is fine, and there will be no shifting again. Okay, let me show you another one. Let me show you another demonstration where things will also become a bit clear for you. All right, let me show you another demonstration here. Okay, so just keep your eye on this. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Okay, now let's see. We have let's see what we have over here. Okay, so we have iterations. Keep your eye on the iterations, the total number of points, the k's that we have, right? Now you see that we have k equals 10, so we have different centroids, right? We have different centroids. Now iteration is increasing. K is also being changed, right? Now you can see how the points are being adjusted, right? So depending on the iterations, depending on the K that we choose, we are going to have different points being associated differently, right? We're going to be having different points being associated differently, okay? So you can keep your eye on the iteration, keep your eye on the K, and you can see that we have different Ks and different iterations that we use in here, okay? And you can see how the centroids are being shifted, right? You can see how the centroids are being shifted. So you can see this is small. We were having small K, so we're having small associations. When we're having large K, we're having large groups, right? You have large groups. And you see the iteration. Now the iteration is increasing, but the points are not shifting anymore because they are done with associating the points, okay? So as the iteration increases, the points keep on shifting. It will get to a point where iteration increases, but the points are not shifting anymore. Okay, at that point, the association is done. You see that it's still increasing, but the points are not shifting anymore. All right, so all these are some of the demonstrations of this Lyod's theorem, right? All these are demonstrations of this Lyod's theorem that you can actually see how the points are being shifted, right, from one location to the other. All right. Now we have K to be 30 all the way to 30. That's why you see now you see that we have small groups, right? We have small groups, right? And the iteration keep on increasing, right? The points keep on shifting a bit, right? The points keep on shifting a bit. Then it will get to a point where there will be no shifting at all, right? There will be no shifting at all. Right now, the iteration is keeping on doing, but there's no shifting at all. All right, so this is basically what I wanted you to see. There's just a visual representation of what I wanted you to see. Now, having seen this, right, having seen how the centroids are being shifted, right, from one point to the other, now let's go and see how we actually choose this K, right? Because you can see that we're choosing random Ks here, right? Sometimes the K was 10, the K was 5, the K was 15, and so on, okay? So we were choosing several Ks, but how do we know the K that we choose? Remember, the K represent the centroids, right? The various centroids that we have. Okay, let's see how this K is actually being chosen, right?